Serenity considers her marriage and highlights the good things about her relationship with Zachary in chapter 1308. She likes that he treats her well and is faithful despite his sporadic outbursts. She also thanks her in laws, the Yorks, for being kind and tolerant, which is unusual among powerful and wealthy families. She is reminded of Grandma May's promise to never meet a misbehaving grandchild. Zachary included, she thinks of all Grandma May's grandsons are amazing people. She recognizes that Zachary's family believes he is the most extraordinary member, and she values their support. The topic of conversation changes to Mrs. Lewis, who has been looking for Duncan's ideal wife. Serenity tells Zachary about Lily Harmon, the candidate Mrs. Lewis has picked, calling her young, attractive, intelligent, and capable. Mrs. Lewis has high expectations and wants Duncan's social standing to be matched by her future daughter-in-law, who should come from a wealthy family. He is unconcerned with the efforts of Mrs. Lewis to arrange marriages because he is entirely preoccupied with Serenity. He thinks the efforts of Mrs. Lewis are a result of her steadfast desire to find Duncan a compatible mate. He is aware, nevertheless, that Mrs. Lewis would never permit Duncan to marry someone of a lower social standing. Serenity speculates that Mrs. Lewis visited Liberty's restaurant and purposefully showed her a picture of Lily Harmon in order to deter her sister from pursuing Duncan. Zachary concurs, pointing out the haughtiness of Mrs. Lewis and insinuating that she contacted Liberty for shady reasons. Serenity worries about the motives of Mrs. Lewis and wonders if she would try to destroy Liberty's store or bribe her to stop her relationship with Duncan. Zachary comforts her by saying that such overused scenarios only appear in books and never occur in real life. He indicates that due to their presence and their connection to Duncan, Mrs. Lewis might personally address Liberty and voice her disapproval but wouldn't take drastic measures. He stresses the significance of their friendship and support for Duncan, as well as their position as members of the powerful York family. Serenity is reassured by him that the dissatisfaction of Mrs. Lewis won't affect Liberty or make her leave. Zachary thinks that Mrs. Lewis would speak to Liberty personally to voice her disapproval rather than taking dramatic measures, even if Liberty has emotions for Duncan. Serenity's fears are allayed by Zachary's assurance. She is aware of their power and the safeguards they offer for Liberty. She appreciates their family's support and knows that they will always be there for Liberty despite the criticism of Mrs. Lewis. The value of family cooperation and assistance in overcoming obstacles is highlighted in chapter 1308. Zachary and Serenity are comforted by their relationship and use their power to protect their loved ones. Despite the objection of Mrs. Lewis, they remain confident in their capacity to safeguard Liberty and secure her safety.